All right, this is the first of our video series that we're doing on talks with different people from Talk. How cliche is that? Um, and I guess wanted to start off with content. Content is one of my favorite areas of marketing. I started as a copywriter a long time ago, and we've got our gun copywriter with us today, Josh. Hi, Josh. How you going?
Yeah, not bad, you.
Pretty good. Do you want to start by just? I guess one of the best things about Talk is we are a one team approach, but we're from all different places all around the world. I'm obviously recording from Australia, if you can't tell by my thick Aussie accent. Do you just want to maybe just start by giving us a quick intro as to where? I'm always interested on your background or your story on where you're located now, and a little just brief, maybe 2-minute history on what you've done in your career so far.
Okay, cool. So I was born in the United Kingdom. I grew up in Thailand and now I live in Portugal. So plenty of different countries. Previously, I used to work as a teacher in Thailand where I taught English, social sciences and environmental sciences. I started copywriting around about 5.5 years ago. Been some pretty big changes over that time. Been with Talk now for 2 years, 2 months coming on. Love it. Got no intentions of going anywhere else. So I've learned so much about content production, copywriting, SEO. It's crazy the stuff that you learn when you're in this industry. So yeah, that's pretty much a brief summary, I guess, of me and what I do.
Cool. And do you find that, like, starting as you're obviously being a teacher prior to this, do you find that helped you transition into the content world? Because I think that everyone, at least what I see when I'm out selling what Talk does and what have you, what I see a lot of is people just think content is the easiest part, and it's often the part that a client will cut from a scope because they want to reduce pricing or whatever, and it's something that they consider to be really easy. I'm of the direct opposite. I feel like it's really complex, and it's also the component that can add probably the most value in terms of return on investment to anything you do in the digital space. And so I always am really interested to hear on, like, you've got a really good knack of producing content that's really quite unique and really engaging. Do you think it was teaching that helped you to develop that, or what? Like, where did that come from?
I don't know. Part of it, I think, is just something. It's like it's something that you either naturally have or you don't. Obviously, you can always learn to do new things, but I think when it comes to writing, you're either a writer or you're not.
Yeah.
Teaching, I think, plays a role in the developmental stages. So when I'm doing my research, obviously, being a teacher before, you have to know what you're talking about. You learn a lot as you go along. So that's definitely something that influences the way that I will produce content with the way that I research, the way that I will, even my writing style, the way that I format things, everything. I think it's all tied together. Would I say that content production is, I don't know, easier because I was a teacher? Maybe a little bit. But yeah.
Yeah.
I think that it's definitely influenced the way that I write. Also, obviously, living in 3 different countries, I've got 3 different perspectives, 3 different cultures going on. So you kind of see things from a lot of different angles rather than just one focused image that you're looking at. So I think that's definitely helped.
Okay, awesome. And you've talked, like, just now, you've been talking about content production, copywriting. You know, we're using interchanging language here. So these videos are designed to go to or to provide information for marketers and business people who may or may not be sort of across this stuff. In your opinion, what exactly is content production? But I guess as an extension to that question, what is content production in 2020 or 2021, next year? Like how does a business engage or approach this space to ensure that what they do drives a commercial outcome for them?
Yeah, so for me personally, what I think content production is that I think that it encompasses just about every part of digital. So obviously I'm primarily a copywriter, so I focus a lot on creating blogs and articles, but then I also work closely with the social media marketing guys. I have to deal with providing website copy for new web builds. You provide video scripts, content for infographics. Like literally it's kind of wrapped around the whole world of digital. But content production for me, so really, if you think about it, the internet is built on content. So if there was no content, there literally would be no internet. Everything you see on the internet in some form or another is content, whether it's paid ads, whether down to the meta descriptions. Someone has had to sit there and craft those meta descriptions to try and draw people in to get them to convert. So literally everything you see on the internet is content in one way or another. And to me, that is what content production is. There's been some pretty big changes over the last few years of the way that you have to create content. So obviously video content has taken quite a big leap forward. The way that people perform searches, it's now 50% or approximately 50%, maybe slightly more, now use mobile devices to perform searches. So the way that they will search for content is very different when it's spoken versus when they type a search. So yeah, everything to me is everything. When I log online, literally everything I look at is content, and it just comes from all directions.
Yeah. Cool. And so you mentioned that content, without content there would be no internet. Really, yeah, content is the founding father of the internet, I guess. The internet was created.
Exactly. It's what the internet is built on. It's like literally the solid foundations. So you've like everything from questions and answers to image-based searches to video to Facebook, social media, everything literally is content one way or another.
Yeah. Cool.
So it's huge. So when people say that content is kind of easy to do, it's not that important, really, that kind of puts everything into perspective of just how important it actually is.
Yeah. And one of the things that I've seen a lot recently with you guys is how you plan content. It's a little bit, it's quite integrated to what we do with other teams. So like the SEM guys will produce a media plan and there's search volumes, there's search trends. And then you use that to help produce like a list of content that you would produce for that client from an organic perspective. Like, do you have any, what's the core reason for why you do that?
It's a bit of a tricky one.
Relevancy of your content?
Yeah, relevancy, I guess. I mean, you mentioned about organic reach, which to me, I always find to be more important than say paid ads or sponsored content. Obviously you can pay for things to be seen, but as soon as your funds run out for that paid content, or I don't know, it's not performing as well, it kind of just drops to the wayside. Whereas if you focus content on organic reach and use solid research, SEO research, SEM, everything, if you can build something around all of that is going to last for years without having to pay for, it's a better return on your investment for a start. It gives you more opportunity to get keywords out there. So with website copy, obviously you have 2 or 3 keywords on a website. The content doesn't change, so those keywords don't change. So it's very difficult to chase after high ranking keywords or trending keywords. So when you create organic content, it really opens the doors to being able to go after all of these new keywords. Maybe the keywords will only be relevant for 1 or 2 months, but the thing is that you can chase those keywords and that audience looking for them for those 1 or 2 months. And then if you've done your content right, then you should be able to draw them in, get them to convert, make them become like a loyal follower of your brand or your blog. I don't know, I just really feel that's just what's more important to me. Might not always be what's most important to the client. So obviously it's all about finding that balance of what the client wants and what you know is going to work, which can be tricky sometimes, but it's doable.
Yeah. It's it's definitely a balancing act, and that's probably a really good lead into my next sort of point. So you mentioned what the client wants versus what the user wants.
Yeah.
That really is that's that whole selling something versus delivering value, or giving. I talk a lot about giving the reader or the viewer or the user online, giving them something for nothing before you try to sell them anything. Can you just unpack that a little bit, like why that's important in content?
So at the end of the day, whenever anybody searches on the internet, 99% of searches are questions. So people are looking for answers. They're not looking for someone to say, look, we've got this really awesome product. It does all of this. It's got all bells and whistles. So every company says that about their products. What people are looking for are things that are going to educate them, that are going to deliver real value, that will engage them. And sort of like, it's all about, I think, when it comes to creating content like this, that if you want to make sales, it's all about using a call to action. So you don't really want to try and plug a product too much, because people don't respond very well to sales pitches. So what it is for me is it's about finding ways to plant those little seeds of curiosity in the reader's mind, so that they get more interested in perhaps the products that the client is trying to sell or the services they have on offer. And it's kind of giving them a nudge in that direction without forcing them, because really, when you think about it, that most people on the internet are kind of like children, that if you try to force them forwards, they're going to push backwards. So it's kind of just, I don't know, gentle nudging in the right direction, but ultimately it's about value. People want value. They're investing their time in reading your content, in learning about your brand. So you have to give something back. It can't be take all the time. Awesome. So yeah, I just really think that's important.
Yeah, and I know, like, if Tarsus or Rick were here, which I'm going to talk to them in a later video, but I know that the angle they take to that is that when you're giving that sort of value away early in the sales funnel or in the sales wheel or whatever infographic or visual you want to use, the ROI on the ads when you roll the ads in at a later date is so much higher. And so very integrated. Everything's just bleeding into everything more and more. Something that I was keen to just touch on, just to give a bit of value to anyone that's watching this. What do you see as the correct process or the ideal process to produce content? Like, what's involved in the process? Do you just say, oh, this client sells toothpaste, so I'm going to write a blog about toothpaste, or what's your process?
So first of all, the first thing that you really need to do is you need to understand who your client is and who their target demographic are. So when you know who you're writing for, it becomes easier to create content for them. So there's something that I like to use that's known as Verse. So Verse is creating content with value, creating content that educates, content with good readability. It's got to have good structure, and it's got to be engaging. So you need to take those 5 things into account when you're writing. So really, as I said earlier on, that whenever you're creating content, research probably takes up a good 60% of your time before you even start writing, because whatever you put out there, you need to be able to back it up 100%. And you can't really use links like Wikipedia because people can nip in there and change links. And so you've really got to put the research in there. I think a big part of it also comes from SEO. So obviously when you create content, you're writing for people, but you also have to remember at the same time, you have to write for machines as well. So I like to weigh things up sort of like an 80-20 balance. So whatever I create will be 80% for the readers, for the audience, 20% for the search engines like Google and Bing. So whatever you write has to flow, it has to be natural. People need to be able to connect with it. So you don't want to be going too formal, as I said earlier. You don't want to just be talking about products alone. You need to be able to reach people, draw them in, and then get them down the sales funnel. But at the same time, you also have to write for the search engines with the keywords, with latent semantic indexing, related keywords, syntax, everything plays a role in it. So it's just, again, it's all about finding that balance and what is going to work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's about it really with the process.
Yeah. I've been talking to clients recently, just around sort of, with search engines becoming so advanced, it's really about trying to create content that provides a really, really first-class user experience. So then the user engages with it, and then it ranks better because of that. It's just really, it's gotten to a point where it's really common sense.
Yeah, if I was to create something and it was written purely for the search engine, so that people aren't going to engage with it, another downside to that is that the bounce rate is going to go skyrocketing, because people are going to go in there, they're going to think, hold on a minute, this sounds like it's been written by a robot, I don't like this, I'm gone. And 9 times out of 10, when that happens, you've lost that person for good. They're not coming back, and if they see your site with more blogs, maybe you've done something awesome, but you've lost them. They're not going to come back and look again. So definitely user experience has got to take priority over everything else. Yeah, I agree with that one.
And do you see content production being connected to most, like if you think about Talk and all the different areas in our business, do you see content production being tied into everything we do, or only some things in the digital space as a whole? Or is it like, how do you see that sort of interconnected, or that connection piece? How connected do you see
that? I think that the content production is definitely connected pretty much with every team, with every part of digital. So as I mentioned earlier, I will work with the guys from social media marketing. I deal quite closely with the SEO guys. In fact, everything that I do is intricately connected with SEO. So we work quite closely together. It's definitely connected to SEM. I think pretty much from what I can think of in my mind at the moment, like looking at talking the different areas of digital that we work in, is definitely connected to pretty much the whole company and everything that we do, because every day I hear from pretty much everyone, and they've normally got a few requests here or there. So I think content is definitely, I wouldn't say that it's the center of digital, because that would be like blowing your own trumpet. I do think it plays a huge role in digital, and I often think that it's really underestimated and overlooked as a tool for business promotion, brand promotion. But I think it's definitely connected. I think literally the way that Talk works, like we're like a jigsaw puzzle, and all of the pieces are there and everything fits together perfectly. And I think that's the way that digital should be, that you should be able to say, I really don't know what I'm doing with this, or guys, I need some more keywords with this. And literally you've got someone there and getting it across to you. So teamwork and the way that digital works together is really important.
Okay, cool. And just on that front, teamwork being really important, obviously we're like a 50-50 remote team, and a team in Australia in an office. At the moment, we're all remote. I'm sitting in a office deserted by myself right now. What are you're a bit of a remote working pro now. You've been doing it for a while. What's your advice for that space, or how do you stay motivated when you're working from home every day?
So I've got a few things that I do to stay motivated. So the very first thing, that if you're working as a remote worker or you're working at home, is that you need to have a space to work in that isn't your bedroom, isn't a lounge or living room, isn't a communal space. You need somewhere that when you walk in there, you know that it's time for work and it's time to get down to business. But when you leave the room, you know that your day is done and you can kind of close your mind off. If you work in a space for relaxing, like a bedroom or a living room, you're going to find yourself distracted by Netflix, by people walking in and out, just by literally daily life will get on top of you and get in the way and stop you. So you definitely need a dedicated space that you can set aside for work. It can be a small bedroom. It could be, I don't know, a garage, just somewhere away from civilization where you can just concentrate.
Yeah.
I think also something to keep you motivated is that you need to learn to disconnect throughout the day.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the good things about being a remote worker is that you pretty much get to set your own schedule and you don't have to work a 9 to 5. In fact, I don't ever recommend working a 9 to 5 if you can get away with it. So when you're a remote worker and you get your hours done, but you could start, say, from 8 o'clock in the morning until lunchtime, and then you have the entire afternoon to yourself to get out and be around people and go and do those important shopping trips or things out in the garden, and then come back to work in the late afternoon and finish up maybe at 10 p.m. So I think that's really important, is that I think one of the most difficult things that people struggle with when they're a remote worker or working from home is the separation between life and work. And there's something that I've always lived by, is that, and I think too many people live by this, is that we work to live, we don't live to work. So you've really got to find that balance of being able to disconnect and say, okay, I'm done for today, or you've got to be able to say, like, I can't concentrate on this, something's not working in my brain, I need to go out for 15 minutes and kind of reset everything. So, which can be difficult because when you're in an office-based scenario, you've got a team around you, a team of people, so you're kind of high performance all the time. You've got people sort of like pushing you forwards. It can be a bit difficult when you're on your own, I guess. But yeah, they would be the two things that I would say, is have a dedicated workspace and kind of find that balance between work and life and be able to disconnect.
Cool. Yeah, I'm much the same. Been working from home during this coronavirus period. I've been working out of the garage, and it's too cold, and it's depressing being in a garage. So yeah, having a space that you can call your own from a work perspective, definitely key. I won't keep you any longer. I know it's late at night where you are, so thank you so much, Josh. Really, really appreciate it. Yeah.
No worries.
I'll talk to you soon. Cool. Thanks, mate.
No worries. Speak to you later. Bye.